serious pain is like the smartest thing I could have done, basically, and I'm really glad that I did.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah, same with like not going to a dentist until like your teeth really hurt. It's like the same thing, basically. Like you definitely should go get shit checked out before it's like bad, but you just don't think about it because life.
yeah, I mean, it's like, okay, time, money, and you spend so much of your life doing shit that you have to do that anything that you don't absolutely have to do, you're like, I'm just not gonna do that.
For sure.
Like, oh, okay, I could go, like a physical, like a regular physical checkup at your doctor. Like, oh, okay, go every year, yeah, sure thing.
Right.
Yeah, three
Yeah.
years, 3 years later.
And I mean, I've always been the type too that's just like, oh yeah, I'll worry about something when it's a problem. And
Yeah,
yeah, you just don't know when something's like a problem and you like in the background. I don't know. It's definitely kind of opened my mind more to that thing that you're talking about, like going to get checked up more often, just because I kind of just always assumed the body will tell you when something's wrong, like within reason, like within time to like handle it. But I guess that's just not the case. It'll tell you when something's wrong, when it's like you can't do anything about it, son. Sorry.
yeah. Or I feel like it's the worst case is usually that by the time your body is telling you, it's too late. Um,
Yeah. Or
especially
some sort of damage has already been done that will be
right,
like, yeah.
some more serious illnesses. Like you're like, damn man, like my liver kind of hurt.
All right.
And then they're like, oh, dude, you got to get a new one. We're having a discount
Yep.
on livers. You're in luck. Yeah, yeah. I yeah. I mean, I got my wisdom teeth out last year, and the dentist, like, they're just through some fucked up shit. Like everything didn't heal quite right off the bat. So for like the next 6 months, on and off, my face would just randomly swell up.
Would it
To
just like get infected from it not healing properly?
I mean, the funny thing is that I couldn't tell because it
Yeah.
didn't hurt or anything, which usually infection is like physically hurts, right?
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
it didn't hurt, but my face would just start swelling up at random times. So I
Hmm.
think it was just like inflamed,
Right. That
but
seems like it.
um, but yeah, and it was only on one side. So like one side and one corner. So basically one of the four teeth that they took, or whatever. And
Right.
yeah, randomly it would just swell up like to a degree that was not ignorable. Like I'd be on a business trip and I'd be like, well, hopefully nobody looks at my face too hard. You know what I mean? Like that kind of shit.
Yeah.
And I went back to the dentist like 4 times, and each time they're like, I don't know, it looks good in the X-rays, looks good here. Maybe you're doing something wrong. Like he's the guy.
Mm.
I sit down and the guy goes, um, I don't know, could be anything. Just like what? What do you mean could be anything? Like the correlation here is I got my wisdom teeth extracted and now my face swells up randomly. Like what are you talking about? He's like, I don't know, man. Like you like change your like you
I'm not
allergic to
even a
any.
dentist.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's like I'm actually a magician, and then like he
Yeah.
like pulls a
Disappears too.
dove out of my swollen cheek, or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was fucking really weird. He goes like, "Oh, how like sometimes ingrown hairs can do this." I'm like, "That's impossible." I just
Huh.
I just don't think that's likely. So they kept giving me antibiotics, but they would only give them to me in like really short bursts. They'd be like, "Here's 5 days of antibiotics." I'm like, "Dude, are you guys afraid I'm gonna get fucking hooked on antibiotics? Because that's something that
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
happens."
that's just not how antibiotics are successful too. You have to take them
Yeah,
like over a period of time to ensure like it's gone. That's so funny.
agreed. So every single time they'd give me like 5 days of antibiotics, I would take those, and then it would go away for a month, and then it would come back. And so finally I just started taking all my friends and family's antibiotics. So like I went
Yeah.
back, I got the 5 days from them again because that's all they gave me for the third time. And then I was just taking random people's antibiotics for the remainder of like 2 weeks or something, and then it went away and never came back. And so now I'm like, all right, fuck y'all. I'm not going back to this dentist again. You know what I mean? Like, but
Yeah, that was horrible.
but because of that, now I haven't been to the dentist in a while because I'm too lazy to find a new one that will take my insurance and do all this shit. So I don't
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Taking care of yourself is a problem. What if you could just play video games all day, every day instead?
Yeah, you know. Did you watch RRR?
We're back. Yes, I did. Yeah,
Hell yeah.
that movie's great. Yeah, I saw you guys talking about it in the
Yeah,
Discord.
I saw you not joining us. I was like, I don't know about this guy.
Yeah, I mean, you know me and typing. It's like, can I just not? But yes, I that's a great movie, and I feel like I missed out by not seeing it in a theater. I know it's coming back, so maybe I'll take that opportunity. But it's really
Yeah,
long.
it is really long, bro.
I don't think I could. I don't think I
I
could.
got to the point I got to the point where I hadn't checked the time, as I was watching it at all. So I got to the point where homeboy with the mustache is like poisoned laying in bed,
Mhm.
and then other homeboy is like, I'm gonna go do the thing. This is my mission. I am gone. If I come back, I love you. If I don't, I love you. Like whatever, that moment. And
Yeah, of
then
course.
homeboy's poison is like, I gotta fucking go. Ah! And so at this moment, I'm like, all right, this is the climax. Like, this
Yeah,
is how it's going to end. They're both gonna go, like, get the girl, like, whatever. And so at this moment, when homeboy's about to leave, I pause and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna like go pee, like, get ready for this
oh
finale.
no.
And then, yeah, I see the time and I'm like, I'm halfway through. That's the literal halfway mark
Yeah,
exactly. And I'm like,
yeah.
no.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's funny because it doesn't. It's the whole thing is entertaining, so it doesn't
It
feel
is.
as long as it is.
I
Like
agree. Yeah.
it doesn't feel, but your body feels it. Like you're like, oh my god, I
Right.
have to
For sure.
pee so bad. Like I
Yeah.
couldn't imagine watching it in a theater.
Yeah. Same.
But I don't know. I mean, whatever. I guess if you've seen it, if you've already seen it, and then you go see it in a theater, you're liberated because you know exactly when to go to the bathroom. So
That's true. Yeah.
maybe that's the real
The
trick.
weird thing is, though, none of the good theaters are the ones showing it. It's like all the really small, shitty theaters. And like, there's a part of me that appreciates that, but I have bigger, nicer theaters here that show all the weird, smaller, less heard of things and have all the anime movies. Like, literally all the weird shit that makes it to a theater, like my bigger theaters will do. They just only do like one showing a day. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Yeah.
why the fuck is RRR not at any of my big theaters? I don't know. It's weird. The re-release for me is only coming to like 2 theaters and they suck ass. So that's what made me not go see it in theaters. I watched it last night, but yeah, I had a good time.
I haven't looked at the list for New York. I mean, the funny thing is like, man, I've grown to love the small shitty theaters just because of the vibe and the fact that they'll sell you an entire bottle of wine for
That's funny.
as much as one glass at like an AMC, But
Yeah, yeah, sure.
but yeah, there's something about like a really nice, like I saw Top Gun Maverick at an AMC because I was like, dude, this needs to be had in a nice theater. Like this is one of
Yeah,
those movies,
exactly.
and I think RRR falls into that category as well.
That's exactly how I feel. It's like I want to see it on the biggest, like nicest screen I possibly can. It's really just that simple, like
Yeah, it needs to be
I'm kind
deafeningly
of the
loud.
same.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I'm kind of the same. Like I do also really enjoy like small shitty theaters. I don't really have an issue with them. It's just, yeah, this was one of those movies I didn't want to go sit for 3 hours, be uncomfortable on a shitty screen. Like
yeah,
even if I only paid $7, like whatever, dude.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's at a certain point if you're going specifically because you want to see a movie, like the money
In the
becomes
best way possible.
secondary.
All right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I recommend everybody watch that. I mean, I've heard there are weird things about like I don't know politically with its alignment on the scale of politics in its home country and like stuff like that. But I don't
I
know. I
can
mean,
imagine. Yeah.
yeah, I mean it's so hard to judge based on those factors because I'm so uneducated on that situation.
Right.
So like
Yeah,
I
same.
mean to me I just appreciate the spectacle of it.
Yeah,
But
same.
I mean there's an amount of I think like it like when it first came out everybody was super high on it and now it's
Yeah.
like starting to settle more into its status as like damn that's a really good movie but I remember the first month it was out people were like this is the best movie ever made as people do.
Yeah, people are freaking out. Yeah.
So but I do recommend everybody check it out because it's a wholly unique experience like compared to what most American audiences are used to, um especially ones that don't normally get exposed to foreign is the wrong word. Sorry,
And there's just something.
that's a
Is that really
cancelable
the wrong word?
offense. That's a cancelable offense. Yeah,
Oh,
don't
I didn't
call.
know that.
Yeah, no, international is what I mean.
Oh,
Cinema.
okay. Actually, I actually didn't know that was like a taboo term now to say like foreign film or something.
I mean, yeah, I think it's like they're not gonna hang you at the stake for it, but I mean, yeah, famously also that phrase they definitely hung people at the stake, nothing else. But yeah, um, they're not gonna kill you over it, but I think it generally like it's an othering kind of term, right? Uh,
Yeah, like Oriental. You just don't say it now.
yeah, people don't really use that one too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I everybody should go see RRR in theaters and give it some appreciation.
And there's just something so like special to me as like one of the boys, and we all got our boys, and it's just like to
Yeah,
see like these two guys just have this stupidly like inexplicable bond like from the moment they just like see each other, like that
yeah,
thing they do where they communicate in a way that makes no sense and do this whole thing. It's just like, yeah, this is badass. And then like,
yeah,
yeah, just the whole journey, even if it's like, I was gonna say not well written, but I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but you know what I mean, how it's kind of like simple
yeah.
at like just like it's yeah, it's simple but enjoyable in like the best way. I don't know.
It's
I
it's
love it.
written it's written how most action movies are written, right?
Yeah,
It's
right.
it's got a pretty straightforward plot. It focuses on character development more than anything for a handful of people.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's yeah, it's solid. I agree. I agree with everything. It's I think I'm
Yeah,
trying to
Mustache Man's whole like internal journey he has to go through from like start to finish
yeah
of like hopping over that fence, beating the shit out of his
yeah
people,
yeah
right, yeah. Um, and then just like all the way to the end where he's like finally sending the letter, being like, I don't know if any of this has been worth it. It's just
yeah.
yeah, I loved all that so much, even though yeah, kind of simple but just great
I'll tell you this.
execution.
I have recently had to come to terms with the fact that I spent my whole life really hating musical numbers in movies. And I've had to come to terms with the fact that honestly, I just have to let that go. You know what I mean? Like I really I can't hold on to that forever. Like it's
Um,
it's a silly thing because that more and more movies are including them and more movies that I'm interested in outside of, whatever, outside of the fact that they have musical numbers. Like that Pinocchio movie recently had a bunch of musical numbers and I was like, oh god. But honestly, if you just kind of let go of stuff like that, you can learn to appreciate it.
yeah. It's one of those things I guess I turn my brain off to pretty well, but I definitely am also not like a fan of it. When it's a thing for a whole movie, um like whether it be a musical or I guess like Pinocchio, I still haven't watched that, but I didn't know it had a bunch of musical numbers, but whether it's like one or the other or just a movie with a musical number or two
Yeah,
like
yeah,
very like just kind of sprinkled in randomly, like I don't really like musical numbers. I guess a musical is different because I like obviously you're expecting it, then I do like musicals, but Yeah, movies that just have musical numbers. I'm not a huge fan of, but they've never been like a, oh, there goes a point for this movie. Like I don't know. I don't really care for it. Like it could have
Yeah.
not been in the movie and I might have been better off, but it doesn't like knock it for me either. It's just like that was their creative choice that I just don't agree with, I guess.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
don't know. It just kind of takes me out of it, I think is my thing. People don't just break into dance and song
but I
at
mean,
any
maybe they
moment.
should. And also, you know what? I think they kind of do. Like, I feel like sometimes you'll just be out and about and someone's singing. You know what I mean? Or dancing around, especially if you live in a
I
city.
don't I don't know if I I don't know if
You gotta
I've
walk around the
experienced it.
streets more, man. No, I don't know.
I guess
Like
so. Yeah.
New York, you'll just be walking, somebody will just be fucking singing out loud, listening to music on their headphones or something. It's like a musical in their own world. Yeah, no, I don't know. I feel like it weirdly happens more often
I
than you would
mean,
think. But
okay. So in like the Baby Driver kind of sense,
yeah,
yeah, for
yeah,
sure. But in the way that movies do it, where like a whole room just breaks into like song
yeah,
and dance, like that doesn't like it
no,
just takes me out of it. It's just like, oh, all these characters that would not actually be doing this are doing this for the sake of like a musical number
yeah, yeah.
in this
Right.
movie. It's like, okay. It's one thing if like the main character is like a like just actually I don't even really know. I was gonna say like a really silly guy and he's just like randomly gonna break into number, but I don't even know if that happens really in movies, but I don't know. I guess sometimes,
Not a
but
lot.
whatever.
Maybe like
Yeah.
movies do it for like an artistic touch, like 500 Days of Summer. I think of because there's just like a random scene where he breaks out into like a musical number. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I think that was supposed to like it signifies his like mental state and all this stuff. I don't know. Movies are weird. I watched All Quiet on the Western Front, which is probably the opposite of RRR.
I
Um,
haven't seen that.
it's that Netflix German war movie about World War One.
Yeah, I've definitely not seen that.
Yeah, it just came out. It's I don't know. People, war movies used to draw crowds, and they definitely don't anymore. I think.
Nah, bro. We're past that time.
Yeah, I still try to watch, all the good ones that I hear about. But
1917.
yeah, 1917, good movie. I mean, Dunkirk is like
You know, I
personal
do
favorite.
like Dunkirk, but I don't like it as much as like, well, 1917 for sure. But then what are the older ones that are really good? I haven't seen Apocalypse Now, which is a blight on
Yeah,
my movie viewing.
yeah.
What's the other one that's really fucking good? Why can't I think of it?
I mean,
Oh, this
there's
is
a
bothering
lot,
me.
dude. There's
I know,
Platoon.
but there's like
There's
one specifically I'm thinking of, and I can't think of the goddamn
Saving
name.
Private Ryan,
No,
Black Hawk Down.
no. When you
What
say it, I will know it though.
What war is it?
Oh, don't ask me that.
Uh oh.
Yeah. Oh,
Uh,
oh God. I'm just gonna Google war movies, fucking military movies. I
give
don't know.
me like a year or like a
I,
range of years.
I'm like totally blanking for some reason, but I
Okay.
know once I hear the name.
Okay. I feel like I'm just this is my opportunity to just name war movies.
It's
Man.
huge though. It's like one of the big ones.
One of the big ones. Okay. Well, you already said Apocalypse Now is what you haven't seen, right?
Yeah, yeah. So it's not that one. Hold on.
So
We're almost there.
not Platoon with Willem Dafoe. That's a huge one.
No, no, I haven't.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I think I'm thinking of Full Metal Jacket.
Full Metal Jacket. Yeah, that's Kubrick.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm thinking of.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Vietnam, by the way, the war for that one.
Nice.
So
My grandpa was in that.
nice. I don't know. Did you ask him about it or?
He never talked about it. We like my family didn't know anything about his time there until he died, and a bunch of quote unquote, but the other surviving war vets came to his funeral and kind of like just finally talked about it, and he had like all these medals and stuff that we didn't know about. And yeah, basically he successfully killed a bunch of people, and that's what all those medals were. And yeah, I think we assume never talked about it because I think all of that stuff, probably haunted him a little bit. But yeah, he never really talked about it with us. So, but
Yeah.
you know, he did what he had to do and made it back. So it is what it is.
Yep. Yeah. Seemed like a tough one.
Yeah, for sure.
So All Quiet on the Western Front is probably more in the 1917 kind of vein, I would say.
Okay.
It's based on a German novel of the same name from a survivor of the war, um, that I was forced to read in high school. I've talked to a surprising number of people who that was not the case,
Yeah.
but I did have to read it, and it was. I remember it being like really just kind of observational, kind of dense, just a lot of like describing their mental state and the landscape and like whatever. But it's pretty. It paints a pretty bleak picture, and this movie is not directly adapted from the novel, but it's kind of based on the same idea. Um, Obviously, all of it true to a certain degree. The characters are most likely invented for dramatic purposes, but what they went through seems pretty accurate to all the descriptions. But um,
Yeah. Or, relatively
so
possible, at least based off of all the stuff going like that type of thing. It's like
yeah,
all within reality, kind of
I would
that.
say 1917 is like the happy kind of sanitized version of this movie.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, I got you.
this movie is miserable. You will finish watching it and you will be like, "Why did I do that to myself?" That is the message they're trying to push. They do it successfully. Whether that makes it a good movie or not, it's really hard to say. I think technically speaking, it's kind of amazing. The set design, the costuming, the visuals, the subtle use of special effects and CG
Yeah.
to kind of improve upon the practical effects that they've built in place. Everything about it is really well done. I think the only thing a lot of the I mean, this is just modern action movies, unfortunately, but a lot of the bullet stuff is like blood and things like that, or can be CG in certain sequences, which always pulls me out of it. I can always tell for some reason. But yeah,
Dude, I don't know. I'll just forever be appreciative that blood in movies looks so much better than it did like back in the day when it like was not even the same color as blood. Oh my god. Do you know what I'm talking about? This wasn't like across the board, but just like a lot of movies like fucking dropped the ball with how blood looked like in the
yeah.
90s and early 2000s, and oh my god, I'm so glad we're past that mostly.
I mean, they never the color was never quite right, but I think the liquidity and the physics of it were much better in older movies than they are now. Like, that's the thing that I remember when I watched John Wick 1, I wasn't a huge fan of it because it was a low budget film and all the blood was CG. And the way the blood
Oh, I
like
didn't know that.
the way they do the blood in that movie is, I mean, in most movies where blood is CG, it's almost like, I mean, it's an effect. It has to be integrated after the fact, and effects can only be so good. And like in situations where blood like hits a wall, it literally just looks like it magnetizes to the wall. I don't know. There's just like weird physical properties that don't. It doesn't look like a spray. It looks like an effect. I mean, it
Like
just
a
does.
shark.
Yeah. And yeah, I don't know. Stuff like that just always bugs me, and I always notice it in movies. And I think in this movie they do it occasionally, but then they balance it out. They have good like explosion effects, like both practical and CG assisted, where they very clearly used. Like there's scenes where folks obviously it's like Saving Private Ryan, where like they get limbs blown off and stuff like that. All that stuff's practical. It looks good. Um, yeah, I think they did a really good job with it. It's crazy that I'm breaking down the technical minutia of like a movie that's about probably the worst time a bunch of people ever had in their entire life, and millions didn't make it home. But that's where where we are now. We're so far removed from shit like that.
Yeah.
But it's crazy. I recommend the movie. There's some character arcs that I think are just really really well done at getting the message across in terms of how this kind of particular event in history affected an entire generation of people um, for what feels like no reason. I mean, I would say most people would argue that war is kind of a pointless thing in general, but it's really funny in this particular case how specifically that feels like the point of the movie, which is that if you were
Mm.
there, you didn't see the value in doing any of this, right? Maybe there was a political reason that something like this has to happen. Not has to, but it's like maybe there's a political necessity or something from a if you're one of the people in high up in running a country, you see these things as things that need to happen or whatever. But to the people there, it just feels like you're being forced into this situation that you don't want to be in. And yeah, that's kind of the whole thing. So it's interesting. It's very interesting. So if you like 1917, you'll probably enjoy this. The soundtrack is all electronic, which I thought was weird. I feel like think about like a war movie soundtrack. Chances are it's orchestral.
Yeah. All electronic is an interesting choice.
Yeah. It's all synths and like very like noticeably electronic.
Yeah,
Like
I
noisy.
fuck with that. I don't know if it's when I grew up or what, but I fuck with that so hard.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a cool choice. I think it's weird. Some people are really gonna hate it, but I think it's cool. It's very strange. So I definitely recommend that miserable fucking mess. But um, welcome to the Infinite Scale podcast, your preeminent movie podcast. I am William Chandler. I'm joined by my co-host Chris Crossley, and I feel like there's something that we've got like some tidying up to do. We've got like something that we've been meaning to take care of for a while that we keep forgetting or pushing back, which is where are we at on the character list here? You said
uh,
you got some new additions.
I do. I've been meaning, this is on me. I've been meaning to get more additions. That way we could, you know,
Just do like an episode.
yeah. And then also the additions I did have, I need to like ask the guy what he said because it's been so long I forgot.
Got it.
But that's on me. But I mean, we can. Ha, can I throw something random at you that I've kind of been brewing?
Yeah, go on.
All right, so recently a podcast sort of did something similar to this, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I bet me and Chandler could do that, but better. So this is what we're going to do,
Uh-huh.
and it shouldn't take us too long. We'll just go right through it. If you could, like, let's say, if you could have 3 fast travel spots anywhere, what would you pick?
Oh man. Well, one of them is going to be your home, right?
That's what I think too, right? Like you got to pick your home.
Yeah. I mean, but see, here's the question then. Is it like a Hearthstone where I can reassign it when I move, or if I move away from my home, am I still traveling
Oh,
back to
okay.
somebody else's
Okay.
home?
Damn.
That's
That's tricky right there.
that would be tough
Ooh.
because if I wouldn't pick my home only in the sense that if that was the case, then suddenly I'm in trouble, right? Like I
Yeah, I hadn't considered if you end up moving because I was
yeah.
thinking that too. Like, I'd pick probably my home, probably someplace I go a lot in my city, and then probably someplace very far away was going to be like my three.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I move, that kind of shifts everything
Yeah.
a lot. Dang.
Yeah, it's kind of
I,
it's tough.
you know, I feel like there should be some sort of just rule where if you pick your home, it can just be whatever your current home is. But
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, that doesn't make any sense if we can't change the other ones too. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm going to say if we it's most likely the spirit of the thing means you can't change it, right? So
Yeah, I think we gotta make permanent.
I feel like I would pick my childhood home then because I mean, I don't think my mom's moving for a while.
Okay. Yeah.
Cuz you know, like worst case scenario, you can always make it back from there, right? I mean, it's not like you're going to
It's your Firelink shrine.
yeah, like no matter what, you figure something out if you end up there. Like
Yeah.
I could drive to the airport or whatever. I don't know. Then I would pick yeah. Then you want to pick somewhere interesting, right? So I'd pick like two major cities and probably one of them in the US and one of them overseas.
Yeah.
The issue is if you pick something overseas and then you fast travel there, what's up with your passport? You know? Like you don't have a
Yeah.
stamp, so they might fucking throw you in prison. But then I guess you could just
Well,
fast travel out of prison
right. Yeah.
back home, as long as they don't shoot you, I guess. Um,
Yeah. You could fast travel as soon as you being somewhere is an issue.
yeah, yeah,
But yeah, I heard someone say in the other podcast um that they would pick an airport they go to a lot, and I was like, that's fucking smart because
I
going to the airport sucks. And if you could
yeah,
just go to an airport anytime, you could
yeah.
realistically kind of go a lot of places
I also
pretty
had that thought.
easily.
Yeah, I also
Yeah.
had that thought. That was
Yeah,
because
you
I mean,
as a
I
traveler, like
yeah.
that'd be huge.
But see, the problem is like there are three airports here, and I never know which one I'm flying out of. So
Yeah, and one of those airports sucks, right?
yeah, I would say like 1.5 of those airports sucks. Like it really like your experience at an individual airport, it turns out, really has to as much to do with the airport as it does the airline that you're flying. Because like they're in
Yeah,
different terminals. Like I'll say this, the quality of a terminal at JFK or LaGuardia can be vastly different based on the airline. Because like
interesting.
Delta's terminal at LaGuardia is a lot better than United's terminal, I think. But I fly United more often, so I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah. What's the other airport?
there's LaGuardia, there's JFK, and then there's Newark, New Jersey.
Oh, I was thinking of fucking Chicago. God damn it. I forgot you moved forever ago.
Yeah, like two years ago.
I mean, I knew you moved, but in this moment, I forgot.
Uh,
Yeah. No, I was thinking of one of the Chicago
oh
airports.
yeah, there's O'Hare in Chicago,
Yeah,
and then there's
O'Hare is the one
Midway.
I've used. Okay.
O'Hare is probably, I mean, I fly there a lot still, so and I flew
Yeah.
out of there a lot. But I'll say this: O'Hare is probably my least favorite airport
Okay.
currently that I have to deal with.
Okay.
Atlanta is a close second. I hate Atlanta. Um,
Yeah. I think my least favorite airport so far was whatever one I flew into in fucking Oakland. That was like just horrible.
oh yeah, that one.
Everything was closed and it was like middle of the day. It's not like it was a weird hour. It was like
Yeah,
lunchtime, like
yeah.
1 or 2 p.m. And I'm like, why the fuck are all your stores closed? I'm hungry.
I've heard
On a
weird
3 hour
things
layover.
about. Yeah, I haven't actually flown into that one before, but
Don't. Just
yeah.
stay away.
SFO is really nice.
Oh, I've
Uh,
never been there.
yeah, San Francisco's airport is
Nice.
crazy nice. I mean, I think it's like a lot of airports in this country. In general, actually, I'll say in any country. I mean, airports they put on the periphery of the city, and SFO is like an annoying distance away from the city. But, um,
Oh, great.
uh, but yeah, yeah, that's a beautiful airport. But yeah, I guess I would say, instead of picking an airport in New York, I would probably pick an airport somewhere else. Like that would be like the two countries that I pick. But then I guess they're like, if you tried to fly from one of those, they'd be like, how the fuck did you get in this country if your passport wasn't stamped? I don't know. It's kind of tough. Yeah.
It is. It's a cool question though, because I love the idea of being able to teleport, and then also I love the idea of being like limited to like fast travel spots, quote unquote, because gamer brain. But
Yeah. Yeah. It's that's the thing about um fast travel being in in games or being like a thing that became extremely necessary in games was like I remember like I feel like fast travel used to be something that you really only did if you needed to, right? Like if you got to the bottom of a dungeon and you're like, damn, now I'm done with this dungeon and there's no easy way back out rather than going all the way
right.
back or something like that. Like it was like a very much like a I'm doing this out of necessity. Now I'm so lazy I will fast travel a lot of the time. I was
Yeah, it
thinking
kind
about
of
that.
depends for me. I was actually thinking about this recently too. Like some games, it is just kind of satisfying to go about the world. Like it depends on the distance, I guess, and how much time I'm realistically about to waste. But like, I
Yeah.
think the prime example would be like Spider-Man. Like that game is relatively fun to traverse, and you can kind of get where you're going pretty quickly, so it's like not a big deal. But
Yeah, yeah.
certain other things, I don't know. I guess any of the Dark Souls, really, I would probably fast travel depending on, unless it was like really close to me. But like
Yeah.
that's a game. Well, I guess Elden Ring specifically,
Well,
but
there's practical reasons to do it in those games because I mean, if you're out in the world, you can get attacked,
yeah,
and
but
and lose
it's kind of
resources or
fun to
something.
yeah.
But I think Elden Ring does it really well, which is that there's not one everywhere. You do still have to move around the world, right? I
Right,
mean,
for sure.
and I think that's the smarter way of doing it than having one at like every village or something. You know what I mean? I don't
Hmm.
know.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about it because we played Borderlands 3 recently, and not to speak out of turn, I don't think that game's very good. But I'll say this: I definitely think that a sign that your world has been designed in a pretty weird way is if getting like you just are constantly fast traveling back to a point to turn quests in. Um,
Yeah.
that to me is like, all right, you've done something wrong in your RPG if that's the way that you want to do it. I don't know. Maybe that's just games now. Maybe we've just hit a point where you're like, I don't need to cross this open desert terrain for the ninth time because there's nothing of value in it. And my time is valuable because I have things I could be doing as an adult, or whatever. But
Yeah.
I don't know. You like
It,
Borderlands 3.
yeah, I mean, it's fun. Yeah. I think it's a good, turn my brain off, shoot some things with some friends kind of game. I don't think I would ever boot it up by myself and just play Borderlands 3 ever, but
Yeah.
yeah, I like, doing things with my friends, and that's a fun one for me for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, if you're playing a game with your friends, it automatically goes up like 2 points on the scale.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
And I do think, I mean, I don't know how much you've played that game or if that was the most you've played that game, but I do think once you get going and get like your skill tree going, that game is just pure fun. Like you really get to build up a cool like list of skills and abilities and passives that like you can mix and match in a lot of cool ways and become like really OP and just fucking
yeah.
blow up a bunch of motherfuckers, and it feels good.
What's really funny is we quit at I think at the exact same place that I quit the first time I played through that game. I think we're
Well,
literally in the same spot, like standing in the same spot.
yeah, that's funny.
Um,
I do think Borderlands 3 kind of fumbles which I feel this way about Borderlands 2 as well, actually. I feel like the beginning doesn't really pull you in. Like if you're like let's say there because you liked Borderlands, like one,
Yeah.
that is maybe enough to make you want to play the game, but I don't feel like it's enough to make you want to keep playing the game. And they really don't do a great job at like, I don't know, showing you the potential fun the game will be at the beginning, because it is really like the fun is all about mixing up all these different skills and stuff and finding all these cool weapons. And it's like, you're not really there until I think too long. I think that is one of the bigger cons of the game. I don't know how they could have streamlined that and made you get to like the fun, quote unquote, faster. Because I don't know, it is kind of like just boring at the beginning. It's my least favorite part of all the Borderlands games is the very beginning. Like, and by beginning I mean like for 6 hours. So like, you know,
Yeah.
it shouldn't take you like 8 hours to get to where the game starts to be fun, like on its own without friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or without the friend part contributing to that. But yeah, yeah, I think it, you know, it's fine.
I think you're right.
I paid $5 for it. You know, I never paid full price for it, so I think that helps me enjoy it.
Yeah, I don't even remember honestly at what point, but you know, the money is, again, it's like the movie theater conversation. The money is secondary if it's something you enjoy, right? I think.
Oh, you know what? I'm kind of weird about that with games. And like Borderlands 3, I think was never something I would have paid $60 for, but is always something I would have paid $5 to $10 for, and like never would have like doubted that. But then what's like Harry Potter is something I was always going to pay full price for because I wanted to play it so bad and it just looked so fun. And I don't know if I'll ever finish it. And that's okay because I did have a bunch of fun for the amount of time I did play. So it's
Okay,
like, you know what I mean?
let's talk about that then, because I've been
Okay.
playing a bit of it. I
Okay.
don't think I'm nearly far enough to have this conversation, but I am curious what you're gonna say about it.
Yeah.
Was the last I just got, and see, who did you pick again?
We're both Ravenclaws.
That's right. Okay, yeah, yeah,
Smarty
yeah.
pantses.
That's right. We're both annoying. So, um, I just got to the part where you the 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 guy who runs the wand shop is like, "Hey, brother, you want to look into this like disappearance of a student for me?" I'm like, "Damn, y'all didn't like investigate this when it happened? Like, what's going on here?" You know what I'm talking about?
Is it a side quest or this is main quest?
It's a main quest marker, but it feels like a side quest. I'm sure it ties into the main quest at some point, but basically after a certain point in the main quest, they're like, go talk to the guy at the wand shop, and he's like,
So this must
hey,
be slightly not like super far, but you're like past the beginning and stuff, I
yeah,
imagine,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I don't recognize this quest, so you must be further than me.
There's no way. There's no
No, I
way.
haven't. I haven't played that much. I mean,
Really?
I have, but it not
Um,
of the main quest. I kind of been fucking around.
yeah, you like go to the wand store, and the guy's like, hey, so a student disappeared a long time ago, but he did it like right after stealing a wand from us.
Oh no,
And
I did do that quest. I'm sorry.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And
Okay,
I'm like, damn, this was like 10 years ago. Why didn't you guys fucking look into this back then? Like, what, you just let students disappear and never ask questions? Like, what? What is?
right. And then we
But
find him like within 5 minutes, or you know what happened to him.
I haven't. Yeah, I mean, I haven't even gotten there. I walked up to the tower and then had to do something else. So,
Okay,
but
that is actually okay. So I am a bit further than you. That quest is, well, really dumb, but other than that, it is like so important for like the gameplay because it unlocks the skill tree, which I didn't even know the game had until I did that quest. And I'm like, wait,
that's fun.
why didn't y'all just give this to me when I started the game? What the why
Yeah,
did I have to get this far?
especially because I'm already like level 14 or 15 or something.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I've been playing so much. I could have so many skills. Like, why
Yeah,
did you fucking gatekeep me like this?
yeah. The way that game is designed is really strange. I'm gonna say this point, and then you can give your full impression because I'll be out of things to talk about. But I think I think this whoever thought up the design document for this game played a lot of Dragon Age Inquisition
Really?
and was like, I'm just gonna make that. But then they made it and it's Harry Potter and the writing is a lot worse. But that's fine. Yeah, I think
I wonder if there's any truth to that, because it does kind of have a lot of the same DNA, and like even the way sort of magic attacks are used is like kind of similar to how Dragon Age would do spellcasting for like the mage
yeah, I mean the
class.
controls,
Yeah, it is weirdly similar.
The style of kind of gameplay loop, like walking around and picking up different quests, and there's a lot of random shit to gather in the environment, and you know the castle portions, and it's interesting. It's a game that I think is good. Like I do think that game like has some intentionally well done elements and some accidentally well done elements, right? Like it's just like it's borrowing so much from other games that it's going to have to succeed in some way, shape, or form. But you know, and then there's stuff that's unique to it that I think is well done. Most of which comes from the setting, right, and solving problems that way. But yeah, I don't know. It feels a lot like Dragon Age Inquisition, which makes me just want to go and play Dragon Age Inquisition. But so give me your thoughts. I'm curious.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately for me, it is just a fun Harry Potter thing. Like yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those times where I think they nailed the IP part of it, and like even if the video gamey parts of it, if you were like to take the Harry Potter away, maybe like I don't know how it is then. So it's like it's definitely getting carried by all the Harry Potter stuff a lot, for me at least. And it's still fun. I just yeah, I don't know if I'll finish it ever, just because I don't know that I like really need to get what I was looking for. I had fun in a Harry Potter world, and if I ever want to go have fun in a Harry Potter world some more, I can.
Yeah.
I will say though, one of the huge highlights for me has been the combat. It has been surprisingly challenging when you get outnumbered, and just surprisingly fun to fuck around and match up. You know, it's like, he's got the yellow shield. I got to use my spell that's colored yellow. You know, it's like it's simple enough, but it like works for me. And I don't know, you haven't gotten the skill tree yet, so you don't really know how much more fun it can be. But like as soon as you get the skill tree, especially since you're like level 14, you're gonna have a fuck ton of skill points, and you can immediately like upgrade your dodge to be this like crazy long like dodge teleport thing, and just all this other stuff. I was like, oh, this amplifies it so much more. Like I literally am playing the combat completely differently now, because my dodge is different. My fucking parry can do this other thing now. My fire attack is now a giant ring of fire that blows away like all around me, and stuff like literally it all changes depending on what you do in your skill tree. So
okay.
Yeah, as soon as you finish that quest you're on, the game immediately becomes way more interesting. And I hate that they locked the skill tree like so far in. I mean, you're still early, so it's not that far, but I think it is a little too far considering how much it amplifies combat and all that.
Sure.
Yeah, and have you gotten the Room of Requirement yet?
No.
It's basically like your own little private magical room that's like huge, by the way, not small. It's a huge like room that is like so big you have to like fast travel to it, and you can't get there on foot. It's like its own. It's like your Firelink Shrine. It's like this Firelink Shrine that you get to customize. So instead of having like the weaponsmith here and then the firekeeper here and like all these other fuckers like there, you get to choose where they are, and it's not an NPC. It's like a workstation basically, but yeah, you basically just get to customize your Firelink Shrine and like set up where you want all the different like things you can upgrade shit at to be. And then like it's kind of, if I recall correctly, it's like the type of thing where depending on like how you set it up, kind of like will determine like your buffs, kind of almost type of thing. Like it's like,
Okay.
okay, I have 3 of these, and they all give me like, maybe I'm misremembering, but it's like if you have 3 of these, they're going to be doing this for you, so you're going to be getting like more of your potions now, like your healing potions,
Right.
because you have a bunch of those set up seal, that type of thing. So it's like, yeah, if you're really worried about healing, you could just set up that thing to be full of the things making healing potions for you. And it's like, I don't really heal that much because I'm good at this game. Fuck it, I'll get all these stations to be something else that is making this other thing for me. Or
Okay.
jack of all trades, and all my stations are going to be different things making different shit for me. It's cool though. Yeah, I definitely recommend maybe playing a couple more hours to get the stuff that should just be available closer to the beginning, and really see what the game has to offer, because it is very fun.
Yeah.
And I think I'm only mostly not playing it still because I got kind of burnt out, and I don't know. I think the dialogue holds it back so much. Like I'm just tired of the bad writing. You know what I mean? Like I just want
It's
to play
bad. It's
more of the
it's really
game.
bad. It's a
Yeah.
shame because I think, man, as somebody who's never read any of the book, well, I think I read the first one when I was like 6 or 7 or something. But like
Yeah.
other than that, I do not know what the quality of the writing is in the source material, I,
It's fine.
but I do think that there is a version of this game where they focused, like an
Yeah.
alternate universe version of this game where they focused on making good storytelling. Because I do think the to me an RPG will always be story first, gameplay second, because the gameplay is never the reason that you play an RPG. It's not. It shouldn't be, in my opinion. If it is for you, then I apologize, but that's, to me, that's weird.
Well,
Like,
are we talking about Elden Ring and Monster Hunter here? Because those
but
are definitely carried by the gameplay.
is Monster Hunter an RPG? I
I've
guess it
always viewed
kind
it
of
as an
is.
action RPG. Yeah,
I guess it kind of is.
I think
I
it
don't know, man. I
definitively is. You like completely change your stats by choice.
I
Isn't
guess.
that like,
I mean, and that's the thing is, like, I guess assigning genres to things is harder than ever in games. But um, I don't know. I mean, even Elden Ring, okay, like you know what you're gonna get, and that's kind of a different thing. But like I'll say, the first time I played Demon Souls, like I didn't know what to expect, and the reason I was
yeah,
playing it, to me, was the story, because it was an RPG, right? Like I was like, okay, I'm curious to see what this is. And then it turns out it's a whole different genre of game, and at the time I didn't like it, right? Or whatever.
yeah, yeah,
And
same.
that was a unique thing. So I guess that is kind of an exception. Although I do also kind of play those games for the story and the characters and the world, because the writing,
Yeah,
and
and that's
then
the
the quality
right.
of the writing, even though there's not an obviously huge amount of it like up front, obviously all the item descriptions and world building and stuff like that are huge amounts of writing, but spoken
Yeah,
dialogue and stuff, there's not a huge amount. And yeah, I mean, I think even in those games, the writing is extremely high quality. So in an
no, I
RPG, the
agree.
writing should be a huge focus of whatever it is that you're doing. Um, and they just didn't care
No,
in
it's
in
bad.
in Hogwarts. Like they did not
Yeah,
care at all. Like it's all bad all the time. Every character's bad. There's not like I've only done one of each class, I think, at this point, maybe two. But like all the professors, which are, to me, as somebody who's pretty much only seen the movies one time, the professors are like the points, right? I mean, that's like all that shit's the good shit, in my opinion. I mean, the kids are like annoying and weird. I think even the main
yeah.
characters, like Harry
I don't
Potter,
even
and
think I like the professors.
really,
Yeah, I don't. I don't like any of the dialogue or writing at all. I think
In the
it's pretty
movies
bad
or in this, you mean?
in this.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. But in the movies, they're like the draw.
Oh, in the
Like he,
movies, I guess I haven't watched them in a while, but just out of memory, I mean, they're like, well, how do I say? They're just fucking solidly written throughout. I mean, not
yeah,
even just like the professor standing out, but just everything is, yeah. I mean, solid.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's like part of the enjoyment is how interesting and varied they all are, and they're like
Yeah,
characters.
for
And
sure.
I don't know. It's
Yeah,
but in this, everyone just feels like not a person. Like I don't know. You play it and you're like, okay. I don't know. The potions guy could be interesting, but he's kind of just a knockoff Snape. I don't know. It's sad because there's an alternate universe version of this game where it's good, like very good, but instead it's just fine. It's fine.
yeah. But going back a little bit, I do think the combat kind of carries like makes up for the writing a lot for me. It is very satisfying and it is a decent challenge when you get outnumbered. It's like
Yeah,
no matter how OP or over leveled you end up becoming, because basically if you do any side quests, you will be over leveled.
sure.
Um, it doesn't matter because as soon as you're surrounded, like you cannot hit multiple people at a time usually, and if you can, it's with something that goes on cooldown. So it's like no matter what, if you're outnumbered, there is like I have to pay attention or I'll get hit, and you really can't get hit that much without going down to like no HP and then having to use a potion. And like now that I have the room of requirement, I basically have more potions than I'll ever need, but still, if you're not paying attention, you'll take 3 hits and then you're dead basically. And I mean, I could be off by like a hit or two, but when you're surrounded by like 5 people, it's not that hard to take 3 to 4, 5 hits and be dead. Like, so, yeah, I don't know. It's something where it's not like I can actually just turn my brain off. I have to pay some attention and I appreciate that. And then the variety of abilities you get once you unlock the skill tree basically just kind of keeps
Yeah,
it interesting.
it is funny.
Yeah.
I did wander out into the wilderness at one point, and like I
You have
fought
your
like
broom, right?
no nothing.
Oh, dude,
So
you have to play this game a couple more hours. You're
yeah,
missing out
oh, I will. I
everything.
will. Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
But I mean, I played it a little bit yesterday, and I'm still enjoying it overall. It's just
Yeah.
it's hard to not see all the missed potential everywhere you look.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
But I was so I walked outside of the kind of town for the first time and like just into the woods and did like walked up to a camp and there was like a bunch of goblins there and I was like time to fuck these idiots up and then
They murdered your ass.
immediately got my shit stomped in
Yeah.
and was like holy fuck. So I like put my serious pants on and like took care of them, but I expected to just waltz in and like mindlessly.
Obliterate them. Yeah.
Yeah, and no, they did not mess around. So I was impressed. Yeah, it seems like they take the gameplay pretty seriously. They take you really have to be paying attention to what's happening around you. I think the one thing that is difficult for me at this stage is differentiating between attacks that you have to dodge versus ones that you can block. Um,
Oh, I just dodge everything. I hate the block parry unless it's like super obvious and I know I'm going to nail it. Just like I blatantly see the attack coming, but so often there's just people not in my vision,
yeah,
and the like little warning thing that it kind of does for
yeah,
you kind of gets lost in the sauce for
it
me when
does.
I'm like focusing on the other shit I'm trying to do. So I honestly, if I think, because I kind of try to, and I do this in like Dark Souls games too,
Yeah,
I try to keep a mental note of the last time any enemy, even out of vision, attacked me. And
yep,
it's like this timer in my mind. It's like, okay, 1, 2, 3, and I'm just going to dodge now because that's probably when they're going to attack me. And I just kind of keep that rhythm in my head, and that's sort of how I play action games. Is yeah, just by trying to keep that dodge timer in my mind, where as opposed to like blocking or parrying.
yeah.
So yeah, that's how I sort of deal with what you were just mentioning. But it'll become a lot better too when you get that upgraded dodge. You're just like, yeah, fuck all these fools. I'm
Yeah.
teleporting away. Got
I
them.
mean, I think you're absolutely right. Like in your approach to it, I pretty much do the exact same thing. Um, The one thing I'll say, I get the parry really easily if I the timing is never the problem for me. It's the symbol between an attack you can dodge the symbol between attack you can block and attack you can't is too similar, and the attacks don't wait very long. Like like it, some games you feel like I mean, this is like a whole other conversation, but I was playing Hi-Fi Rush. That game, they waste a lot of time. Not waste, but you know what I mean. The symbols are up for a long time before the attack actually happens, right? The wind up.
Yeah.
This game doesn't have much of a wind up for different attacks. So like, um, I'll hit a parry like exactly the right time, but then I realize it's an unblockable attack and I'm getting my ass chewed out, or whatever.
Yeah.
Like stuff like that. And maybe that's just playing it more and getting used to it. But that was something I noticed was happening to me a lot. Was like anytime it's a parryable attack, I'm always parrying it. But if it isn't one, I'm getting my ass beat.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna keep playing it for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you definitely should make sure you get that broom, the skill tree, the room of requirement, like all key parts of the gameplay loop
Yeah.
/ experience that I think are what really prop it up compared to how bad the writing is. Like,
Yeah.
I was genuinely shocked at how much I enjoyed the broom writing. Kind of similar to the combat. I was just like, wow, I did not expect this to be as satisfying as it is.
Yeah.
And it just is flying around the broom of a world. Like, I mean, I know you've only watched the movies once and didn't read the books, but this is shit I grew up on. I read these books. I've watched these movies more times than I can count. Like,
Yeah.
this is shit from my childhood that I very much care about. And I'm getting to fucking fly around it on the goddamn broom. Like, it is so fucking just satisfying. And then, yeah, the room of requirement, also shocked at how much time I spent down there just customizing it and getting all the shit right and just like doing all this stuff. It's just like, fuck yeah, man. I don't know. Yeah, it just, yeah. But to pivot to Hi-Fi Rush, I just started it last night.
Nice. Yeah. I don't think I like it.
I am not sure how much I like it, but I definitely do like it. It's just I kind of, I don't know. I don't like how do I put this? I don't necessarily feel like they super, at least for me, or maybe it is just me. I don't feel like they super nailed the like, I don't know, the like combo to the beat thing necessarily. I kind of wish I could just do what I want to do, and then like when I'm on beat, I got a bonus, which that is kind of how it works, I guess. But it feels like it really at all times wants me to be on the beat, and that's fine. I just don't feel like they nailed that. Like there's a certain song during the first boss last night, or the song during the first boss last night. There was just like this point where it's like the beat, and this is maybe not accurate. I'm just going to do an example for reference, but the beat maybe goes like da 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 da. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I'm like in my head, I'm counting it. I'm like, okay, so there it is, and then I want to like go XXXY, XXXXY, or like whatever, like directly on beat. Yeah. And that's just not how it works. Like you can't even combo your X's that fast. Like if you spam X, he's like 1, 2, 3, 4. Like maybe that's too slow, but it's definitely not 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Like you cannot combo that fast. And I'm like, well, y'all fucked it then. Like it literally the like BPM is like faster than what I can do, or like the beat you're wanting me to hit on isn't the beat that like makes sense to me. And that's like my biggest thing. I just wish like it would just essentially like kind of have thrown the idea of me like trying to attack on beat out the window. And then it's just like maybe more so about trying to like hit the finisher on beat, which it is kind of like that. Like it is kind of more about like, I don't know. I just feel like I'm I don't know how to explain, but I'm honestly having a lot of fun, and I think the game looks really good. I think the dialogue isn't like horrible. I think it's like I don't know. It's not like really funny or anything like that, but it's like silly enough to where like I'm not annoyed. I'm like, yeah, that was fine. Like I don't know. Like I think it's all fine. It's not bad. It's not great. Like the writing and dialogue is all just
There's
totally okay.
there's yeah, I find the writing generally pretty pleasing. Like it's a
Yeah.
satisfying experience. It feels like pretty snappy. Like I don't know, like a cartoon, I guess, or like a pretty
Yeah.
well written
Yeah,
animated
I agree.
movie. Like
Right.
it's up there. I guess I agree with your gameplay criticisms and that there's so many sounds and things on screen and everything's happening that to me the rhythm gets a little bit lost in the chaos, which I think is part of the difficulty. It's part of the point. Um, but there is something that I'm missing in the gameplay. Like I always get a B or an A on the rhythm portion of it. I never have gotten an S on that, and I can't figure out why. And it's probably just me, but it makes things less than satisfying. Like I've gotten an S on the overall combat, but it's because I dispatched everything quickly,
Yeah,
or
that's same.
or
I keep
whatever, or didn't
getting the
take
rating for
damage.
the time. And then that's
But
another thing too. I'm just like, so the best way to beat the enemies is to not follow the beat. That's how it feels to me. It's like,
yeah,
okay, like I got rewarded for clearing this quickly,
yeah,
S tier. So if I would have slowed myself down, because that's what I feel like I would have had to have done to fight every enemy on beat, then I would have got rewarded for staying on beat, but would have gotten punished for not being quick enough. Like,
yeah,
what the actual fuck? I don't know. Yeah, I just feel like yeah, I'm being not punished for staying off beat because it hasn't been like that. I'm still winning all the fights and having fun. But yeah, that like grading at the end there for some reason like irks me a little bit. I'm just like, fuck you.
yeah.
I'm hitting the enemies and having a good time. Fuck you. I don't know. Don't give me a
Yeah,
B, motherfucker.
yeah, and I mean, I think the difficulty's kind of weird because I don't think the game's hard, but I feel like the grade is making me feel like I'm not doing as well as I could be.
Right, exactly. It's like
Um, but I'm a little further than you. I'm curious if you keep playing, what you think. I think the the f- the first level and first song really did a lot. Like the first boss song did a lot to win me over because I'm a huge Nine Inch Nails fan.
oh yeah, I'm not. So that was actually not huge for me. I'm just such a fan though of music in general that it was fine. Like I
Yeah,
wasn't like, oh wow, this band, this song. Like I was just like, oh yeah, nice. But it wasn't something that resonated with me like, oh fuck this. Like let's go. But I
yeah.
have heard there's a song from Scott Pilgrim in this game somewhere, and I'm very excited about that.
Oh yeah, so yeah, I haven't even looked at the song list because I think part of the fun is being surprised by what
Yeah,
happens.
I
But
haven't either. That was
I
just something I heard in passing, and I'm like, well, fuck me.
yeah, I just love Nine Inch Nails, and even then, this is like one of their not even like I would say they're not in their good era songs. You know what I mean? But even then,
Oh
still, as
yeah.
soon as it started playing, I was like, I know this,
Yeah.
and it
Same with
won me
the
over
opening song for
immediately.
me.
Yeah, the
The Black
opening
Key song, I
song,
was
of
like, "Oh,
course.
yeah, nice,
Yeah,
yeah."
yeah. It's again
Yeah, I
not
think,
even one of their best songs, but still got me hyped.
yeah, no,
Like,
I agree, yeah.
um,
I think the style and kind of a lot of the stuff we mentioned, like how it looks, how it sounds, the songs they've picked,
yeah,
the dialogue, because I genuinely don't think it's great, but I also like am so serious when I don't think it's bad at all. It is
no,
just perfectly fine. Like it's not blowing my mind like, wow, this is incredible dialogue and writing, but it's just like I'm entertained, I'm enjoying it, it's fine.
yeah,
Uh and yeah, just the style and all that is going to probably carry it for me. I'll probably keep playing it unless it just hits a point of not fun. But yeah, I guess ultimately I wish the game would have been more about like my combos are adding to the song. Like when I start hitting, I'm making noises that go with whatever noises are happening instead of it being like more about me trying to time it to match the song. I just kind of wish all the attacks added to the song. And I was like, just having fun instead of worrying about being good at my timing. Like that's kind of my thing. I just wish it was way less about, I don't know, how good I'm doing, because it really isn't about that. It kind of is about the style and just having fun. So it's weird that the gameplay kind of like, I don't know, pushes back against just getting lost in the song and having fun by saying, yeah, you didn't really do that good. Try better next time. It's like, okay, but I had fun though. So what? It's just, I don't know. It's just weird disconnect for me there. But I think I'll be able to turn my brain off to it and just kind of get lost in the sound and the visuals of it.
Yeah, and for me, I mean, as you always say, I hate fun. So character action games are not ever my jam. So the chances of me finishing this are like slim to none. But
it's pretty short, so I think that could maybe help.
Yeah, I thought that was going to be the case, and maybe it's just that there aren't that many levels, but each level is kind of long. I don't know, maybe 30, 45 minutes.
Yeah, and I think there's like 8 to 10 levels, so it'd be like 8 to 10 hour game. I feel like that's exactly how long this game should be.
Yeah, that's probably true. If it was any shorter, people would be like, "What a ripoff!" But I'm like, Jesus, I just want to get through this, you know?
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, I don't know, and I'm playing on the normal difficulty, and it doesn't feel hard, but the second boss,
I do not want to bump it up. Yeah,
I don't want to bump it up. And the second boss, like the first boss was pretty straightforward, didn't bother me much. The second boss was a little bit harder. There was a moment there where I was like, damn, I might actually die. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I'm gonna try to keep going with it. I say that about everything, and who knows? But
yeah.
Have you played Atomic Heart?
No. No. Yeah, just full stop. I hadn't really heard of it until release. I mean, I had, but I hadn't looked into it until release, and it doesn't particularly appeal to me. And then also the like, I don't know, Tran kind of brought up some like political controversy surrounding the game, and I was like, well,
wait, what is?
I don't really know if I care enough. I don't know, something about the way they just who made the game and the way they're portraying. I haven't looked into it that deep, but Tran was kind of bringing up.
Now I'm curious. I mean, I haven't
something.
I haven't seen.
I don't even know if Tran could have like just been dead ass be joking too. So there's also that. I guess take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say if there's a political controversy to be had, it's that this game. I mean, the setting is an alternate universe where the Soviets very easily won.
Yeah.
The Second World War, and then entered into like a time of prosperity, like extreme prosperity. If anything, I think this game is politically controversial because if you're like us and you lean to the left, it definitely dismisses a lot of aspects of like socialist and communist rhetoric as like inherently absurd. And I think that those things are a lot more appealing than a lot of capitalist tendencies at this point.
Yeah.
But you know, I mean, there's the writing of this game is not the thing. I think the overall plot of Atomic Heart could be interesting, but you're never going to find out because it's buried so deep in dialogue that is the worst shit you've ever heard in your entire life. That you just would never know. Like the actual plot line and the stories and the secondary dialogue from characters is interesting, but they waste so much of your brain space with a vending machine that is sexual.
Oh yeah.
Like, I mean, it is just what a waste. But yeah, do you like BioShock 1?
Are you serious?
I feel like I have to. You're a BioShock Infinite person, right?
Are you serious?
Or am I getting this backwards?
Are we even friends?
I'm sorry. I talk to so many people who have so many opinions about Bioshock Infinite.
Yeah, no, you're good.
I can't keep it straight.
I love all the Bioshocks.
Okay.
One
If
is, I think, objectively the best and one of the best video games ever made, probably in my
okay.
top three. So
Okay. If you like Bioshock 1, you will like Atomic Heart on some level.
okay, hell yeah.
Because gameplay wise, I think it is the closest to Bioshock 1 in its highs and in its lows.
Oh no.
I'll say the melee combat is about as bad as Bioshock 1 was in 2007, and now it's 2023, so that shit is even less forgiving. Um, but once you get a gun, and once you really start getting ammo for that gun and really start getting into the rhythm with the powers, this game is every bit as satisfying as Bioshock 1. And I think that game, Bioshock 1, to me, gunplay, like blasting a splicer with a shotgun, zapping them with
Yeah.
electricity, doing all that stuff is still really satisfying to this day. And I
Yeah.
think the gameplay of Bioshock 1 is leaps and bounds better than Bioshock Infinite. So
Uh,
if
that's a
you
weird one.
disagree with that, which I don't blame you. Like, I'm a person who thinks that Mass Effect 1 is the best Mass Effect game because
In
when
a way, it
I
is though, but the gameplay isn't the best in Mass Effect One.
but see, like, to me, I would rather have something heavy that feels impactful than something kind of light and satisfying. So, like, I'll give you a very direct example. Dark Souls 1 is the most satisfying Souls game to play because of the weight of everything that you do, but it doesn't play the best to me.
We are definitely not on the same opinion of this.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Like, I think that there is something about having your actions feel impactful that is inherently tickling the brain for me. And I understand that is a unique thing that not everybody agrees with, but like when you
No, I
play,
think I
I don't know,
agree
man.
with that,
I don't
but
know, man.
in terms of like BioShock 1 and Dark Souls 1 specifically, those games, maybe less so BioShock, honestly, but definitely Dark Souls are just kind of reaching a point where they're more so dated and where I wish maybe like Dark Souls 3 and stuff kind of did have that weight, but with like the more polish that they sort of have now. Um that's just not the case, sadly. But yeah,
Yeah.
Dark Souls 1, it's way less about the weight for me and more so just about the jank that kind of comes with Dark Souls 1. But like, I agree with you. I'm trying to think of an example that's like a little more modern that's kind of like that, but I can't.
Yeah, I mean, these things come up every once in a while, but I don't
Right.
know.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's like Dying Light 1 versus 2. Like there's something about Dying Light 1 and the weight of the actions, the way melee combat feels that doesn't work at all in Dying Light 2. And the only way I can describe it is that it just feels more impactful. More like everything you do feels like a little bit heavier. It feels like it's connected to a body. And in Dying Light 2, everything feels floatier. I mean, it's one of those weird arguments. Like people have been trying to quantify why Mario is a good platformer forever, right? And it's difficult to always nail down that language. But I don't know. Yeah, so kind of to get back on track, I think this game plays a lot like BioShock 1 and BioShock 1 is a game that's really old. You know what I mean? So like
Yeah. Yeah.
that could be people might get upset by that. I don't know. I mean, but I think
Yeah. It's been so long since I've tried to play BioShock, but I know the last time I played it, I remember thinking then I was like, dang, this is starting to feel dated, but it's still really fucking good, like regardless of that.
yeah.
So I wonder now how I'd feel about it because it's been a while for me.
You know, it's actually an interesting example as well as Dead Space 1 versus Dead Space Remake.
Oh,
Like,
okay. Yeah.
Dead Space 1 moves a lot slower than Remake does. Just in general.
And the enemies move really fast in the remake too, right?
What's that?
Like the enemies move way faster in the remake than they did.
I think so, yeah. I've seen some people say things to the contrary, but I don't know. I mean,
No, the
I
enemies move much faster in the remake. They fucking come at your ass,
I
dude.
thought so too. Yeah, but I don't know.
Yeah,
Um yeah, I there's something about the way Atomic Heart feels that I think is satisfying. Um the shotgun is like an all timer. Like it's a great game shotgun.
yeah, hell yeah.
Uh, and enemies are not spongy. Like to me, Bioshock One, and maybe this is I don't know. Other than Big Daddies, every enemy is like not spongy. Like
Yeah,
regular enemies,
it's they're killable. Yeah, you're
they
just like, all
do.
right, blam, like
Yeah,
gone.
you do a lot of damage to them, and they do a lot of damage to you. And I
Yeah,
think that type of game is the perfect game design for a game like this. Like three
yeah.
enemies at a time, and they're all dangerous, and you're dangerous to them. Um, and that's I like that. And see that was another thing that Bioshock Infinite got wrong. Regular enemies had huge health bars that took a lot of shot. I don't know. Just there's just things about the way that game plays that I think are just inherently worse. But anyway,
I don't know
not
about
to
worse. It is just different though, and it's totally valid if you
yeah.
like one more. I would say I like one more as well. I think Bioshock Infinite is fucking incredible for other reasons than why one is incredible. And I would honestly kind of say the same about two as well, two being at the
Oh yeah.
bottom of my list there. But I think two is just really fucking great as
Yeah.
well in its own way. And I mean, this exact conversation honestly is can be applied to Dark Souls. It's like one, two, three, Elden Ring, Bloodborne are all really good for their own reasons,
Yeah.
and one is like at the bottom of my list for certain reasons, and then like two is really high up my list for some reasons, and that's totally different
Yeah.
for any other
Yeah. Yeah.
individual Souls player. So
And I actually respect that opinion more than the Bioshock opinion because I think Bioshock I like
you respect me liking Dark Souls 2 more than one, more than me liking Bioshock 1 more than the others?
no. I mean, I think well, you specifically liking Infinite's gameplay is
I like it for
unforgivable.
other reasons. No, I mean, I just think, and I mean, I don't know. I just think it's fun. It's just really, I'm having a good time.
Fuck, I
And it
fucking hate
sort
playing
of,
that game.
really, that's
The
crazy to
story
me.
of that game is very good. And
Yeah, I
is
definitely agree with that.
and there's some character decisions in that game that are weird. I love that I'm relitigating Bioshock Infinite every year at this point in my life, but the story overall in that game is fascinating. There are some things that characters do or some choices that don't always make sense or aren't the optimal ones, right? Like the stuff that happens with the Vox Populi is weird. Um, but I think I don't know. There's
I don't mean this in a bad way, but it is almost like they kind of like thought of the end and then wrote from there. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
for
oh,
sure.
wouldn't it be crazy if
I would
this
agree.
was the thing all along? And they're like, yeah, let's do that. And then
Yeah,
they
I would
just kind of
agree.
wrote from there.
I think so.
But that being said, like that whole stuff at the end is like
It's crazy. It's good. I like it.
it's what made it all worth it. Not that it wasn't until I got there. It's not like leading up to that, I was like, well, this was kind of a bust. But it's just like I would say for me, maybe up until like the end kind of portion where everything falls into place. The story wasn't necessarily what was carrying me. I definitely was like interested in Elizabeth and what was going to happen to her and Booker's whatever. I kind of didn't really like you know uh care about him much like the person I'm playing, but I definitely was like, yeah, I'm interested to see where the stuff with Elizabeth goes and whatever. But mostly it's just like something about um being in the BioShock universe is just like inherently interesting to me, and like
Yeah.
those games kind of just won me over so hard from BioShock 1. It's kind of just one of those things like if Ken Levine is creatively involved in a BioShock project, I'm just going to be interested, period. because you never really know when some stuff that happens at the end is going to happen. So it's just like,
Yeah.
um,
You know what's funny? I also, this is like a whole other conversation, but I think Bioshock 2, which had little to no Ken Levine involvement,
right,
is the
right.
most consistent in terms of quality in both
Um,
story and gameplay across the board. It doesn't, it because it's not the first, which means it doesn't have the same level of highs, right? It's not the
for sure.
thing that created the universe. So you know, it already feels somewhat derivative because of that. And it's not different enough to feel wholly new in that universe. So it kind
Yeah.
of sits in the midpoint. But in terms of story and gameplay in a Bioshock game, like as a product, it's it would be like technically the best one. If that makes sense. It's weird. I think the story is from start to finish completely good, and the gameplay from start to finish is completely good. Which
I
I
definitely
can't
agree
say.
with the gameplay part. I don't remember the story, I guess, honestly. I mean, I remember the thing. It's like,
Yeah, yeah,
who you are and what you're fighting for, but
yeah,
like
yeah.
I don't really remember the small things that happen along the way from like the whole journey basically. I just kind of remember this one moment at the end when the big sister you've,
Yeah.
created, not created, but the big sister that's on your side like turns a corner and there's all the bombs there, and like those kind of like bigger like moments at the end I kind of remember, but I don't remember a lot of two. I wonder if I could replay that and have a good time.
Yeah, it might be
But
time. It might be time to do that.
yeah, I just for Infinite, I just think it and I mean even going, not even just, you never know when you're going to get something like the stuff at the end of Infinite. You're also just not really sure like when you're going to get some stuff like at the end of BioShock. Like even BioShock 1, which is just fucking nailing it the whole time, it's still like I don't really know that the story is what was carrying me in BioShock 1. I think I was just having fun in that atmosphere, like this unique underwater city shit that had
Yeah,
never played a game in a setting like that. And just, the gameplay is fucking good and serviceable. So that's kind of carrying me a lot. And then
the art direction and
you,
the
oh
world
yeah.
design. I mean,
And it's just like, I'm meeting all these cool characters and all this stuff is happening. But until you get to certain moments, it's kind of just set dressing for the creepy vibes and the craziness that this city is fucking lost, dude. And now you're here and you gotta fucking go. And you don't even know why you're here. And it doesn't matter because you're playing a video game. But then once it does all matter, and they drop the Adam Ryan moment and just like these few key moments that are genuinely just moments that
Andrew
add
Ryan.
greater context to every. Oh yeah, sorry. But yeah, add context to the rest of the stuff that has already happened, and it's just like whoa.
Yeah.
And you just never knew in Infinite when something like that could happen. So even though I definitely kind of agree with what you're saying, I just think Infinite holds up well also as like a video game uh of its time, like a modern. It's not modern anymore, it's old now, but at its time, I think it, was fine as a video game, and then they did enough of the Bioshocky, Ken Levine things to keep it like interesting enough. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's fine. I think it's not as good as one, but I definitely think Bioshock Infinite is a great game, pretty much start to finish. I think I played it for the first time like 2 years ago, so I
Yeah.
feel like my memory on it is like relatively fresh compared to the other two.
I've been meaning. I mean, I played through Bioshock One too many times at this point to probably play through it
Yeah,
again ever. But I've been meaning to do a two and Infinite uh replay, especially two because there was a
I would
DLC.
like to play two a lot.
There's the DLC Minerva's Den, which I think I don't remember much of. I did play, but I don't remember it as well as I should. The DLC of Minerva's Den is supposed to be probably one of the best stories in that universe. Um, yeah, I don't know. I need to get Bioshock Two going again because it's one of the, I think I've only played through it the one time. Um, yeah, Yeah, maybe that's something we should do as a book club kind of thing.
Yeah, I think I'm going to. I was just checking Steam to see if I owned them on Steam because I assume that's the best way to run them. But I mean,
They did those
I don't
remastered
know.
versions too that I remember hearing kind of
Correct.
fucked up things about at launch, but
Here's the thing. I
uh-huh.
don't know if you're familiar with the ever infamous Nvidia leak list that happened, I think like 2 or 3 years ago now,
Yeah.
where a bunch of shit that had not been
Announced.
released or
Yeah.
announced fucking was on this list, and
Yeah.
Nvidia's like, oh, don't worry about that. That was just fake data we
Yeah.
created. Haha. And
So far,
then
notably,
almost
all of the
everything.
PlayStation games have been like every PlayStation game that was listed on there ended up being released. That I can
Yeah, and then everything. I mean, like I'm not going to pull it up, but a lot of stuff from that list has come to fruition. Street Fighter being
Yeah.
announced, Portal RTX being released. Like, there's just a lot of stuff on that list that has since come out.
Yeah.
BioShock RTX, I want to say, was on that list, and if it's not, um, it was a similar thing where it just kind of like blatantly leaked, and it's just a matter of when, not a matter of if.
Yeah.
So an RTX update for the BioShock games is like all I need to like get pulled back in. So I'm like, I'm wondering if I should just wait for that to happen because there's no way it's not coming.
If it ever happened, it'd probably be for the first one. So I think you're safe playing Bioshock 2 at this point. But
Yeah.
and even then, I mean, Portal RTX kind of runs like shit.
Oh
So,
yeah, I remember you saying that. Yeah.
So,
I'm just gonna play them then. Fuck it, I do have them. I'm just gonna install 1 and 2 and play them both.
um, so play Atomic Heart. I think. I'd
Yeah,
be
I think
curious
I'll
to get
try it out.
your. I think I'd be curious to get your thoughts. It runs really well on PC. By the way, it's extremely well optimized. I'm running everything maxed out,
Nice.
and it runs very well. So I would give it a shot. Let me know what you think. I'd be curious to get your
Yeah.
opinion on it because I think it's one of those games that had some things been slightly different, it would have been truly great.
Yeah.
And there is the potential there for this studio to go and do something that hits that mark. So, um, what else you been playing?
Um. What have I been playing?
Did we ever? I know we talked about the Dead Space remake a bit, but did we talk about it at length after I finished it? I can't recall. I should know this.
Did we?
I have no idea. Maybe not.
Hmm.
That game's really good. All right, moving on.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I've been thinking about doing a new game plus playthrough. That's why it's like on my brain again. But um, I yeah, there's something about the loop of that game that is so satisfying. It makes you want to keep going. I don't know. And now I'm like, damn, dude, they got me again. They're gonna. I don't know. Are they gonna remake 2 and 3? Maybe. Should they? Maybe. I don't know.
I think I've just been playing a lot of Elden Ring, I guess, other than stuff we already mentioned. I've been doing that a lot still.
Damn, that's
My
crazy.
buddy, yeah, well, my buddy just started playing it basically, so I've just been playing with him, and yeah, it's fucking. I mean, it's Elden Ring, can't go wrong.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if I mentioned this in a recent recording or not, but it's like the first playthrough I've done where I've kind of gone and done everything again, and I've been doing all the side quests again, and I'm on like, New Game Plus like 5 or 6, so
Yeah.
I'm getting to fight like some of the bosses that I kind of felt like were pushovers in the first playthrough, at least at the time that I did them. and actually like have a fight, like I'm just like, oh
Yeah.
fuck yeah, I'm sweating. And I finally got to do Rykard and it not be easy as fuck. And holy shit, is that fight so much more fun when you don't just fucking walk right through him.
I hate
Oh
that
my
fight.
god. I love that fight. And I didn't know the special weapon you get,
Yeah.
the gimmick they do in all the games
Yep.
with a boss.
Yep.
I didn't know it had like a bunch of combos you could do. The first time I
Yeah.
played the game, I literally just like spammed R1 and I'm like, this is fucking stupid. But yeah, no, it has like combos and shit you can do with it. I'm like, oh fuck, this is actually dope as shit.
Yeah, I think to me, Rykard is the weakest version of the Storm Ruler gimmick. I don't know.
I think it's my number one.
God, I fucking hated that fight. I can't explain it, and it's funny. I mean, everybody has this. I think we talked about this at the time. I mean, everybody has different bosses that they struggle on. For some reason, Rykard I died on like 5 times, and I do not know why.
Oh, weird. Yeah, I first timed it. For sure.
Yeah, it was one of those that I just gimmick bosses in general are usually never my favorite. But this one really annoyed me. That's cool.
I think
I'm
Demon Souls kind of broke that for me.
We haven't mentioned it. We haven't even mentioned it to each other on the side.
Oh.
But they did announce that Elden Ring DLC.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, we haven't talked about that. Well, I mean, it's like one of those things where, I mean, they like literally said they were going to do DLC back when the game came out. Yeah. So it's not like
and they always do.
Yeah, well, yeah, that too. And it's not like this was like a surprise. And they didn't give us like a release date or a trailer or literally anything other than an image, which there is a lot to, extrapolate from that image. But I don't know. I just didn't really care. I was actually kind of like sad when I saw that because I was like looking at the tweet and I'm like, where's the release date? Where's the release date? And there wasn't one. And I'm like, yeah, I wish there would have been a teaser, a release date, anything other than just an image and an announcement we basically already had.
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you this. It'll be out in about 6 months.
I was actually thinking it'll probably be winter since they didn't say a date. That makes me believe fall, winter, which I guess is kind of like the 6 months range, but I'm sadly thinking it's going to be like a December, January release.
Really? Okay, maybe.
Yeah, that's just the vibe I get, only because they have released DLC in the winter for Bloodborne and Dark Souls 3.
Yep.
So that just leads me to believe they'll do it again. Kind of similar to Pokemon, they have a very consistent release cadence. They release things in the winter, and that's just when it's going to happen. So,
except for, I mean, Elden Ring was February, I guess, but
but their games always come out in the spring.
Yeah.
And then their DLC has always been in the winter.
Yeah.
So that even if it's not the same year, that's just a pattern I've noticed. So I just kind of assume until proven otherwise that'll kind of be the same cadence they do.
What's funny is, I mean, I'm curious which path they'll take, because right, I mean, what was the gap of time between Bloodborne and the Old Hunters?
Off the top of my head, I actually don't know. I couldn't even tell you when Bloodborne came out, but it was either the winter that year or the winter the next year.
Okay, it says November 24th, 2015, which is, I think, over a year and a half after Bloodborne came out, right?
Yeah, that's the winter after it came out, I'm pretty sure.
Because it came out March. Oh, no, it came out March 2015. So that was actually
the same year.
Same year.
Oh, wow. I thought it was the year after. Okay. Well, cool. I didn't realize that was the same year release. That's,
I didn't remember that either.
Good for them.
That's crazy.
That's crazy then how much, like, because I don't know if we've talked about this or if you remember, but that was when I got into Dark Souls, was Bloodborne, and I literally bought a PS4 for Bloodborne. Like, I had no interest in a PlayStation at all. I was totally content.
That,
and I was like, I got a PS4 just for Bloodborne because that shit looked cool as fuck, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna play this game. Like, the Lovecraftian sort of aesthetic and vibe and atmosphere of it all, I was just like, holy fuck. And I fell in love with it, played the ever living shit out of it, proceeded to go and play the other games throughout the course of that year, And then I guess that's when the DLC came, because I definitely fucking played that shit day one. I don't remember it being the same year though. That's so awesome. And then didn't Dark Souls 3 come out the year after that? Was their release cadence that fucking poggers?
The year after, I want to say,
Or was it actually
I
2017?
think it was 2017, but
Damn.
Dark Souls 2 came out the year before, almost exactly.
The Scholar of the First Sin?
No, original Dark Souls 2. Original Dark
Came
Souls
out
2.
in 2014?
Yeah, March 11th, 2014.
The original Dark Souls 2 came out 2014.
Yeah.
Oh.
Scholar didn't come out until, let me look.
What a year.
Let's see. Scholar, April 1st, 2015.
Wow.
So
what the fuck?
But what I wanted to know,
I do not remember it being like that at all.
So the whole reason I even started talking about this is because what I want to know is what is the path they're going to take in terms of DLC release cadence, right? Because like to me, so Dark Souls 2's DLC came out at a really consistent pace, beginning only a few months after the game came out, right? And then they continued to release it every few months, which I thought was really cool.
That is really cool.
And Elden Ring feels like the type of game that Dark Souls 2 is in the sense that it's like it would be easy to slot in DLC in the way that the world is designed. Right?
Yes, for sure.
So I'd like to see that kind of thing where once Elden Ring starts releasing DLC, every 6 months or so, there's just more, like another little piece. Because to me, I find that method of releasing stuff more interesting than just doing one expansion a year and a half after the game comes out or whatever, you know what I mean? Like just one big expansion. But I don't know.
I'm sort of the other side. I would like a huge content drop that I can just get lost in for a while that makes me like almost feel like a whole other game just came out. Like I will never forget Iceborne, the expansion for Monster Hunter World, and just how much content that was. It almost rivals Monster Hunter World, if not has more content than Monster Hunter World in it. And that's insane to me as like an expansion. That's so ideal for me. I just want to keep playing the game. Oh, dude, so good.
I need to do that.
I just want to keep playing the game I already love and just have way more of it. Like that's all I want.
Monster Hunter, it's one of those things like World is a game that I constantly regret not having played at launch.
I think World, at least in comparison to Iceborne, like kind of sucks. I don't think I like Monster Hunter World anymore. I think it was really good at the time, but that was also the first Monster Hunter I ever played.
Really? Damn.
Yeah, I mean, I had fucked around on one of the 3DS, but I don't even really think those two experiences are comparable other than the name. Like, it's like, okay, yeah, I recognize the Rathalos, like, from my 3DS jank-ass scream, but the gameplay is completely different between those two.
Yeah, well, I mean, World is the outlier. The 3DS game is actually more like Monster Hunter.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's true, but even then, like, so after World, I went and played, like, Generations Double Cross or like whatever it's called on the Switch, and it's like, yeah, that's a traditional Monster Hunter, but even that basically plays more like World in the sense that I was playing the other like Monster Hunter Tribe Ultimate on a 3DS with one fucking joystick. Like I might as well just been killing myself slowly, painfully. And yeah, World. So in that way, all that being explained, World is kind of basically my first Monster Hunter, even though I did put some hours in before. It just was completely different. So
yeah.
That being said, I was having a great time, not really knowing how stupid all the things I was doing were, and just kind of like enjoying the good parts. But Iceborne is just the good parts. Like there's none of the, all right, here's a really shitty, and we've had this conversation on the podcast before when Monster Hunters come up. Here's a really shitty quest that involves doing anything other than hunting monsters in a game called Monster Hunter. fuck off. I didn't fucking buy Monster Hunter to fucking do anything other than hunt monsters. And so Iceborne, that's like all you fucking do. It's nothing but like new monsters or new versions of monsters that you know, and a fuck ton of them, and you're hunting them. Like, holy shit, thank you. And then they add all these new mechanics, like the grappling hook thing. I think it's called the clutch claw, and just all this other shit and all these fucking god, no. It's so good. But yeah, after having played Iceborne and having tried to go back and play World again, like when other people will try to get the game or something like that, it's like, no, this kind of sucks, at least in comparison. I don't know. I think Monster Hunter World main game really like holds itself back in a lot of ways by trying to do, I don't know, just all the stuff that isn't hunting monsters, I guess. It's just like, who cares?
It's supposed to be the reinvention of the series. It was supposed to be the, Elden Ring, for lack of a better term, for
and it was
franchise.
It was.
It's yeah. I get what you mean.
I think Iceborne could have been that too, though, and then would have cut all the bullshit. Like, I definitely. Yeah, I mean, it's like they did what they were trying to do, and that's great. It's just like, in comparison, like I didn't have any complaints about World at the time, but then when Iceborne came out, and I essentially played like the better version of World, which makes sense. They made it after World, so it should just be just like it, except better. But then to go back, it's like, whoa. Like, I don't think I could ever replay Monster Hunter World. I think there's just literally no way I could do that.
Yeah.
Because the like main quests that you have to do that are just really dumb and are about going collecting things or hunting down monster tracks in every single area. It's just all so not fun that it's horrible for me. Whereas before it was my way to get to more monster fights. It's like, okay, I have to do this to get to the next fight. Now I've done those fights like a billion times, and I could just boot up another character and fight that monster right now. So why would I don't know, do all this extra stuff to get to it? And then Iceborne, it just is all the good stuff. Even if it's like some bullshit that's not hunting monsters, they just did it all very well in Iceborne and kind of figured it out. And I don't know how we went down this path exactly, but
we were talking about the DLC release style.
Okay.
Expansion. I prefer like piecemeal, like the Bethesda style. Let's do 3 little expansions that add some pieces and parts to this overall game world. Or like Dark Souls 2 did it. Compared to the one big expansion, like Dark Souls 3, I actually think also did it that way, which was
they did like 2. I don't know. They're interestingly sized because they're not small and they're not big. It's like they're just whole areas. It's like, all right, this one's a whole area. This one's a whole area. They're not too big or too small.
The Ashes of Ariandel and the Ring City. Those were the 2.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah. Yeah, and those are both perfectly sized, in my opinion. That like once
so first of all, Dark Souls 3, you were right, 2016. So we were really eating. We were feasting back then.
No, that's crazy. Like, I started playing Dark Souls games at the best time, apparently.
Yeah. April 11th, 2016. So exactly a year after the Scholar edition of Dark Souls 2. And then
and Bloodborne, right?
Bloodborne was March, but yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy. Wow.
And then let's see when the DLC was released. So Ashes came out October of the same year. And the Ringed City came out March of 2017. So
March,
exactly
really?
A year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, we were really feasting. Those were the days. Those were the days for sure.
What the fuck happened? Because I guess I didn't realize, because I would have like started playing, I guess, after Bloodborne and Scholar had released. I didn't realize how soon it all came out next to each other. I just remember thinking how excited I was for the next thing, and then 3 came, but that's crazy how fast Bloodborne and 3 came out together.
Yeah, and 2. I mean, 2 was the year before
Well,
Bloodborne.
yeah, 2 was like a different team, so that makes a little more sense because I know 2 and Bloodborne were being developed at the same time.
Yeah.
So that makes sense in my mind. But 3 coming out a year after Bloodborne really fucking blows my mind for some reason. That's just like,
my guess is that the 2 team went to work on 3 while the Bloodborne team wrapped up Bloodborne, and then Miyazaki just kind of bounced between the two because he directed both Bloodborne and 3. But that would be my guess. And I mean, to be fair, I think. I mean, I couldn't even tell you now, but at a certain point, wasn't it like after 3 came out, he became the president of that company, right? Or was it after Sekiro?
I genuinely don't know.
But so at this stage, really everything he's doing is kind of in a more conceptual sense than nitty-gritty game design. But yeah, I mean, I think what really threw the cadence off for me was Sekiro, because I didn't like it. So
yeah,
it was a famine time for Souls games in my mind, because we had 3 in 2016, and then it wasn't until Elden Ring came out that I got another Souls game that I liked.
Yeah, basically same. I didn't really like Sekiro either. Like at all, really. And it's I don't know. It's just like, I don't know. I can't even really say what I didn't like about it in a way. I mean, maybe if I really thought hard, but it's just like, I just remember thinking at the time, and I know we've kind of talked about this before, but I just remember thinking at the time I got to a point where I think I was in the area with all the monkeys.
Yep.
And stuff, and I just kind of knew what I had gotten myself into at that point, and I had sort of proven to myself that I could beat that game at that point as well. It's just like, all right, I've gotten through enough bosses that I know I could do this, but is it worth it to me?
Yeah,
to really get through this, because it is so fucking stressful, and that's like really the time of my life when my time started to become a little more precious and limited, and it's like, I could dedicate my free time to this, but at what cost? Who will I become if all my free time goes into this?
Yeah, I mean, the world and the characters and the story and the setting just did not appeal to me.
Yeah, that for sure.
In a broad sense.
And the characters, me being punished for dying in a whole new way via the dragon rot was kind of a huge turnoff for me. I don't mind losing my souls. I mean, it sucks at the time, but that's like the fair trade-off of like punishment for dying for me, is like my resource is gone and I have to now get more of it. Like, fine, cool. But killing NPCs, which is like what kind of carries not all of the game, but a part of the game for me, is like interacting with these characters and seeing, where their stories go, is like definitely part of the experience for me. So taking that away from me because I'm dying, or even just like that feeling that like if I die too much, I'm going to be punished in this whole new way. It just like brought this whole other level of stress I really didn't like, on top of the gameplay leaning on the like stagger system and stuff like that. I didn't really like, and me being
I don't think any of that stuff is permanent either. Like it's all reversible with those items, but
no, it is, but it's, I mean,
yeah, I get what
it's still, I didn't like it. Like,
weighs on
regardless
your brain.
if it's, regardless if it's, reversible, I didn't like it. And then just the combat in general, the way they leaned on the stagger system and how they kind of punish you for like relying on your old Souls combat data, is just like, I don't know. I just didn't really like that. Like, I don't necessarily hate that the game exists, like, because people like Merced really like it, and I think that's his favorite Souls game. So it's like, okay, clearly this appealed to a like faction of the Souls audience, and that's great. But I'm definitely not that faction at all. I want more of the the true formula that I know and love.
I think even just something as simple as removing leveling up was like hugely detrimental to my enjoyment of that game. So
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, there's we could go on and on,
yeah.
surely. Like there's a lot of the things, that add up to me just not wanting to finish it.
So coming up, what are you gonna play this week? What do you think is your focus? Because we're actually in kind of a good time for games.
Yeah, it's a scary good time. I don't really know, honestly. There's so many things kind of coming and here now that I don't really know what I'm going to be doing. Especially because Magic is kind of popping off right now too.
Nice.
There's a lot of Magic cards about to come out, and that's like a lot of my time and resources.
Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly don't know. There's just a lot happening right now. I kind of don't have an answer. I'll probably just pick something. And honestly, we talked about BioShock so much, I'm probably going to end up doing some of that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know. What about you?
So I think I'm gonna run this by you here. We could keep playing Borderlands 3. I am kind of interested to see that through. Maybe have an opinion on that. I am becoming dangerously close. I'm looking right now at the Steam store, and there's a bunch of stuff that's actually on sale right now that I've never played before, like Watch Dogs Legion. I see that Assassin's Creed 3 Remastered is on sale, and I kind of want to litigate that with you because I want to have a stronger opinion than I do on that game. But something that's
it's
really
funny because I'm the opposite. I will probably never play that game to keep my high opinion of it.
I know. But even funnier is I'm looking right now, and all the Destiny, like the Witch Queen, is like $15, which I never played, and Beyond Light is $10, which I never played, and I'm like sitting here like, dude, do I play the old Destiny expansions right now? Because like I need to scratch that itch, but I don't want to pay the full price.
You mean Destiny 2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to pay the full price to get into the new expansion, and if you buy the new expansion, it doesn't include the old ones. So
yeah,
as far
that's
as
always been no, it doesn't. That's always been one of the shortcomings of every DLC they've released. I feel like it's just like, okay, so like let's say I was interested in Destiny and I just couldn't have played like expansion 1, 2, and then now I don't know how many there are deep, but just for conversation's sake, like I missed expansion 1 and 2. Now 3 is coming out. There was never really a way to get all of them if you were trying to catch up. It was always like, yeah, you got to buy them all now, and no fucking like they might be on sale right now, but there's no just like bundled packaged bargain deal. It's basically like you're paying.
They do have a bundle. They do have a bundle. It's the Legacy Collection 2023, and it includes the first 3. It includes Shadowkeep, Beyond Light, and the Witch Queen. The newest one, Lightfall, is the 4th one. Apparently.
Okay.
I already have played Shadowkeep and own it, so no reason for me to deal with that again. So I don't need to buy that Legacy Collection, but the Beyond Light is $10, which was the second one, and then the Witch Queen is $15, which is the third one. And so for $25, I could probably play about 10 to 15 hours of Destiny 2 and be fine. And not need to play the new one. So that's kind of where I'm at mentally. I'm like, dude, should I just fucking load up Destiny and do that? Like, I don't know. I'm really considering it. And Like a Dragon Ishin looks amazing. I have seen so many people playing that game, and I am like ready. I'm ready.
I'm probably going to do what I did with Like a Dragon for that one and pick it up on a sale, sadly, but I am also really excited to play that. Yeah, that looks fun.
There's a lot of good games, and then Resident Evil 4 remake in only a couple weeks, 3 weeks or something, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot. It's definitely release season right now. I can smell it in the air.
Yeah.
The leaves are changing. The releases are coming.
Yeah, you're right.
But it's a lot, and I definitely know I'm the type that just like I like to have a new thing to do, even if I have a million other things I could be doing that I haven't done. So I could easily see me picking up something. I'm just not really sure what I want yet. And a thing kind of still at the top of my list is Wild Hearts. It's just also that thing that I really am kind of waiting for, like a few more little optimization updates. I think maybe they already happened. I haven't looked into it. And then also kind of want like maybe a sale. Don't really want to pay $70 for it, but
I think
I'm already
a half off sale on that game would be the thing that gets me to do it.
Yeah, 100%. I think as soon as it goes on sale, I'll pick it up. Especially because from what I understand, it's not like super popular, which means it probably will go on sale like within a month or two for like $40 probably, you know, and that's pretty close to half off since it's 70. I could see me picking it up then, but that I am like ultra convinced I will love a lot, and I'm mostly just waiting for someone else to be like, I will for sure buy it. Slash a sale or good patch of some kind. But yeah, that's like pretty high up on my list. Wild Hearts looks fun as fuck. I like.
Are you tempted at all to get a PSVR 2?
I am. I don't like how much it is. It's pretty much just that simple. I am very, very interested. I've looked into it a lot before release and post release. I've been watching it pretty closely, and one of the highlights people are saying is they absolutely cannot believe the fidelity.
Yeah.
It's a 4K OLED screen on your fucking face, bro, running off of the PS5, which granted isn't a top tier PC, but in VR, that's fucking crazy level, like visuals, graphics, like smoothness you're fucking talking about. Like, holy shit, that is so appealing to me. And then the dual sense sort of stuff they added to the controllers, I've only heard great things about too. The only cons I've heard basically are that the content really isn't there software wise yet, and that the feedback, the physical feedback, haptic stuff in the headset is kind of weird, and then also that the controllers are kind of small. None of that stuff is particularly going to bother me. My hands are not small but skinny, so they kind of fit in any controller. Like I'm comfortable with like the Switch and the Quest 2, so I know I'll be fine for the PSVR. But yeah, and then the haptic feed stuff in the headset kind of being mid doesn't really bother me either, because I had like low expectations for that anyway. And yeah, I'm ultimately just kind of waiting for it to go down in price, similar with PSVR 1. I don't know if you remember that, but on launch, yeah, well, no, but I don't know if you remember like the whole thing with its price on release, but it was very expensive, and at the time wasn't bundled with anything. Whereas like fast forward a year or two after it came out, there was a better version of it that costed like $100 or $200 cheaper, and it was bundled with games. So like that's kind of what I'm waiting for, is for there to be a library to back it up, and for it to not cost more than the PS5 with no games coming with it. I don't know what they were thinking there. That was not a good business decision. Other than, I'm assuming, unlike the PS5, they just don't want to take a loss on the hardware alone. And maybe they already are, because it seems pretty well designed, considering what's in it, like the screen and stuff. So maybe they are still taking a loss on the headset, and they had to charge $550 for it. But $550 and me not even getting a game with it is a lot to ask, because the PSVR games aren't backwards compatible either. So you can't play Beat Saber right now. You can't play whatever the fuck else was good on PSVR 1. Like, you literally have to re-buy stuff that has been redesigned for PS5. At least that's how it's explained to me. I think there's a few exceptions, like Tetris Effect got a PSVR 2 update, but I've also read that you have to pay for that update. So I don't know.
Oh, really?
100%. Yeah, I don't think there is any backwards compatible game if you want to play anything on PSVR 2, you have to buy it, regardless of what you already owned. And I think they dropped the ball there too. I think they really should have waited until at least things like Beat Saber were available. And I definitely think they should have just made that a free upgrade, but I don't know. I don't know. I think it'll be similar to PSVR where it's really not going to be of any interest to me until like a year or two. But I am interested. All that being said, the price point and the content isn't really there for me yet.
Yeah, I think other people have echoed this sentiment, but they really needed to negotiate Half-Life Alyx onto that headset at launch.
I've heard a lot of people say that too. I think that would have been
deal needed to
huge.
happen because so many people have not played that game still. That could have been the entry point. And it's far and away still the best VR game. So
yes, I think that would have been huge. I think what they needed for sure at launch is not necessarily that, but definitely a experience that is like supposed to be that quality of a VR experience. Kind of, I think that's what they were hoping the Horizon game was going to be to them, but I don't think it kind of is anywhere near that level. Like, I don't think they quite understand, or at least whoever made Call of the Mountain, the Horizon game, I don't think they quite understand what makes Half-Life Alyx what it is, and that's okay. I think someone will at Sony eventually. I think from what I understand, they're having a lot of their main IP sort of get a VR thing into some capacity. I want to say they pretty much said that. Could be wrong, but yeah, I want to say they've at least expressed extreme interest in all their main IP getting some sort of VR version of that, like, or VR game in that world. So, maybe someone will nail it, maybe it'll all suck, but yeah, it's like, I think they definitely needed that, a very quality, like, thing, maybe not on par with Half-Life Alyx, because that's saying a lot, but at least close, and they didn't have that for sure. And then I think they also needed at least confirmation Alyx is coming to it, because I don't even think they've said that, right? That there's not even a murmur that it's being developed or ported to PSVR 2. Even that would, I think, not maybe sell it like on release, but at least have a lot more people paying attention, like the like true gamers that are interested in Alyx and maybe knew it existed and also interested in VR and have a PlayStation. Maybe they would be paying a little bit more attention if they knew that was coming. Like, at least I would. I'd be like ready for that to happen. I don't know. Yeah, I just feel like they're not quite there yet. It was, and this is exactly how the first VR was too. It was a pretty whatever launch that sort of built up over time. And honestly, when you're talking about hardware releases in general, it's pretty rare that a console comes out and is like everything it needed to be at launch. You know what I mean? Like, it kind of takes hardware a second to sort of get where it's supposed to be. And that's okay. It is weird. I think it is always like strange when consoles release with like no games, but it happens.
Yeah, I like everything VR so far, it lives and dies on the software, because paying $500, which is, by the way, the same amount as the PlayStation 5.
More, it's $550.
Is it really? Okay, yeah.
It's
yeah,
$550.
with controllers and everything, right? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, paying that much for a headset that you're not even sure how much you're going to use it is a huge ask. And I really think a lot more needs to happen with games. Like, a lot more first party support needs to happen from Sony to make that thing successful, than we saw with PSVR 1. So yeah, it needs games. It needs a lot of games. It needs a lot of good games, and not all of them can just be ports, which is most of what's out there right now. It's like, okay, Res Infinite again. Here you go. More Tetris Effects. More. Oh, here's the VR expansion for Resident Evil 7. Whatever.
Yeah.
So, I think that's it for us today. All this talking about games makes me want to play some games. So
Yeah, I'm definitely about to start some game.
um,
Don't know what.
thank you guys for listening. Thanks, Crossley, for hanging out.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, we'll be back soon. I think probably another 2 week time span seems likely here. I'm going to be doing some travel next week, so
Yeah.
not a lot of games are going to happen, which gives me less to discuss, but we'll see. We'll
Yeah.
see. I did download and play a little bit of that Metroid Prime remaster,
Oh, really?
remake, whatever you want to call it. Yep. So I'll have a lot stronger opinions next time, but I already have some pretty strong ones.
Good.
I think whatever 7-year-old me was right about that game, but we'll see.
I don't know if you were.
It's not that good. We'll see.
I don't know if that's true.
All right, everyone. Tune in next time to hear us fight.
Yeah.
Peace.